Hello, everyone. My name is Nicole. I am a Southern California Realtor with Uptown Brokers. I help people with buying and selling property, but my specialty is probate sales. If you're handling an estate and the heirs absolutely cannot agree with what to do with the property, it happens all the time. Today, I'm breaking down the exact options you have when the family isn't on the same page and what you as the executor can legally do to move things forward. Now, why do heirs disagree? Disagreements usually come down to four things: money, memories, expectations, and timing. One heir may be emotionally tied to the property. Another one may just want to sell immediately. Someone may think that the home is worth more than it really is. Or one person is doing all the work while the others are waiting for their share. Now, these complications are all normal, but they can slow down the probate timeline. Now, you may ask, what can the executor legally do? Now, here's the key. The executor cannot choose based on personal preference. They must follow the will. If there isn't a will, they must follow the state and estate laws. See, an executor is a fiduciary, meaning they are required to do what's best for the estate. That is their only option, to do what's best for the estate, not what's convenient, not what's popular, and not what one heir demands. So, option one is a buyout. Let's just say that one person or one heir wants to keep the property and the others want cash. A buyout is possible, but it must be based on fair market value, not emotions, meaning a professional appraisal needs to be completed. The buyer heir needs to show lender approval, proof of funds. They have to go through the entire approval process to show that they could legally, financially afford to do this buyout. And sometimes the court has to approve the transaction. Option two would be to sell the property and split the proceeds. And this is the most common solution. It eliminates disagreements. It eliminates disagreements on repairs, on who's going to live in the property. The executor will handle the sale of the property, pay all the debts, and distribute the remaining funds to the heir. This one is the one that I see works the best out of all the options. Now, option three is to rent the property temporarily. Now, renting is an option, but only when all heirs agree, which isn't common. And renting can bring its own issues: maintenance, vacancy, tenant selection, splitting the proceeds fairly, which we're already not agreeing on. So renting can cause more complications than it's worth. Option four is a court order partition sale. Now, this is when the heir simply cannot agree. The court may step in and order what's called a partition sale. This forces the sale of the property regardless of any objections. Now, this is the last resort because it's taken the decision making out of the hands of the family and places it in the court hands. And ultimately, the court does not want this to happen. They want you as a family to figure it out, to be able to handle this without them stepping in. Now, they are prepared because they understand that 9 times out of 10, there's going to be conflict, and they are prepared to make the decision. Now, you may ask, Nicole, how do I reduce conflict? And the first thing I'm going to tell you is to make sure you have a living trust to avoid probate completely. But if we're past that and you are in probate, my best advice is to hire professionals as early as possible within this process. Hire you a probate attorney, a mediator if needed, a professional real estate agent like myself who specializes in probate. Clear communication and proper documentation can prevent arguments from turning into legal battles. And that should be the goal, for everyone to get along, to settle this estate. But I know that doesn't always happen. So please take my advice, hire these professionals, or first and foremost, make sure your loved ones, anyone who has any assets, has a living trust to avoid probate completely. I hope you learned something from this video, and I will see you on the next one. Bye-bye.